the multiple exchange rate regime, and the criminality in the downstream oil and gas sector was what culminated in Nigerian currency losing so much value. So when Tinubu became president, common sense would have been, oh, subsidy must go to stop the corruption in the downstream. Then we must put in place strong efforts to show up output back to the 2.5 million barrels a day level it was, or 2.3 million barrels it was under Jonathan, and then to protect our oil and gas assets from being stolen like sweet. But what President Tinubu did was, he announced the two policy programs, which were right in itself, but he did not eliminate the underlying factors that created the problem ab initio. And what was the underlying factors? If I were to be in his position, what I would have done was to execute the same Brazilian reforms. Brazilians are not more honest than Nigerians. Brazil has crude oil reserve of 15 billion barrels. Nigeria has 7 billion barrels. Brazilian National Oil Corporation was founded in 1970, long after Nigerian National Oil Corporation that metamorphosed into NNPC in 1977. The Brazilians were saddled with the same kind of corruption that we have in Nigeria. But what did they do? The Brazilian government decided to sell down 72% of their holdings in Petrobras and invited core competent investors with technical and financial capacity to take up that 72%, and they held only 28%. Today, Petrobras is valued at $174 billion. Today, Petrobras does consistently 2.3 million barrels a day. Today, in 2023, Petrobras churned out profit of $37 billion, turnover of $121 billion. If the NNPC, with bigger oil reserve, did as much as Petrobras, we won't be where we are today. The only corporation that is working in Nigeria today is the Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas. Why is this so? Because it is structured in terms of ownership, corporate governance, and transparency, like the Petrobras. It is 51% owned by the private sector investors and 49% owned by the federal government to NNPC. Therefore, they were shielded from the political shenanigans that happen in Abuja. If President Tinubu, by the time before he announced those policy changes, which were good in itself, had taken time to clear out the Ojian stable, clean up everybody that was part of the management team under Buhari, board and management. If you are taking time to clean them out, take them away from NNPC, move them away from NNDPRA, move them away from the upstream. If you are taking time to clean up that stable, if you are taking time to unbundle the NNPC and restructure it like the Petrobras, which will have done in his first 6 months, by removing, what he would have done was very simple. Appoint a JP Morgan Chase, a Goldman Sachs, maybe support them with a Chapu Him Deham and Stanbic IBTC, and then impanel them to be the book runners in unbundling NNPC. What they would have done was very simple. Value NNPC. Today, NNPC is estimated to be valued at about $58–60 billion. All they would have done was, after valuing it, they will sell down 70% of the federal government holding through the Federal Ministry of Finance and the Petroleum Ministry, sell down 70%, and then do an IPO of $20 billion. That will have unlocked over $50–60 billion that Tinubu will have used to protect the naira against the movement of, against the margin of the foreign exchange market and movement of subsidy. If he had done this, as I'm talking to you, the NNPC that will have emerged out of it will have been as efficient as Petrobras, will have been as efficient as LNG. There's no way we wouldn't have been attracting anything less than $20 billion in the oil and gas sector. We'll have been able to increase our rig counts. We'll have been able to increase more acreage, both OPL and OML. We'll have been able to be producing at least 3 million barrels of food every day. And if we had amended the PIA in such a way that we say, going forward, unlike before, where we allocate oil blocks to people without any evidence of strong technical and financial capacity, we can simply amend the law and make it compulsory for you to have an upstream license. You must show financial capacity, and you must set up a refinery here to refine everything that you produce. If, for example, now we have a pay quota of 1.7 million that we have today, and we are producing 3 million barrels, we use 178 million to satisfy our OPEC quota, and we'll refine every other thing that is produced here. We will take over the 600 million man sub-Saharan African market before somebody will refine products in Singapore, in South Korea, and bring it here. We'll be able to sell and take over Africa. If we had done this, taking these steps before the removal of subsidy, before margin of the foreign exchange market, we wouldn't be where we are today. The policy programs we are spot on, but the underlying factors, the clearances, the cleanup, the reforms, the institutional transformation program that will have been put in place to make it work. You cannot put new wine in an old bottle and expect the wine to remain. Basically, what he did was he took new wine, new policy, and put it on the same contaminated, decayed, smelly bottle. And that is why we are where we are today.